What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So I just got done finishing the episode 5 and 6 of Daredevil Born Again. And I will say, I was a little bit surprised that they were going to drop two episodes in the same day. I mean, it's no new because they dropped the first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again, like during the premiere and on the same night. But I didn't expect them to drop it for episode 5 and 6. I think it's because they wanted to make room for the schedule of Endor because it's coming out very soon for the Star Wars show called Endor Season 2. Or maybe this because the episode 5 was a filler episode, and the in episode 6 is more of the getting into the grand major story. Now look, these two episodes, episode 5 and 6, is going to be spoiler heavy review. And if you're not caught up on episode 5 and 6, stop what you're doing, add this video to your favorites list, and then come back later after you're done watching episode 5 and 6, because this is going to be a spoiler heavy review in this video. So going into episode 5, we're getting into the bank heist of episode where Matt Murdock is now caught in the middle of a bank heist, and now a lot of people, including himself, are being held hostage, and we have a familiar face Marvel character that we saw in the Disney Plus show Miss Marvel and the Marvels. We meet up with Kamala Khan's father, who is a bank assistant at the place. And yeah, I mean, at first I thought it was going to be a little bit too forced to shoehorn some of the familiar faces, but no, he actually worked so well in the story, and he definitely name dropped Kamala, name dropped Miss Marvel. He also showed a bobblehead of Miss Marvel to Matt Murdock, and I thought, yeah, that was a little cute. I enjoyed that moment. I mean, sure, I mean, Miss Marvel is not one of my favorite shows on Disney Plus, and the Marvels I really disliked a lot, but I thought that the Kamala's father really worked so well in the episode, and he didn't feel so forced in. And I will admit, yeah, this is truly a standalone episode that doesn't have anything affect to the grand major story, but it does have more of effect of Matt Murdock. Slowly, his first step of getting back into that mask, becoming the Devils of Hell's Kitchen in the Daredevil world. Because he's throughout the show, he's been trying to, like, going by everything by the book and going by the system. But every time that he gets into the middle of the circumstances like this, he knows he can't run away from it. And I said this many times on many videos before, but he is slowly now getting back to being Daredevil, especially where now he's being held hostage by the robbers trying to rob something in the safety deposit box in the vault. They're clearly not after for the cash, because according to one of the guys who was one of the people that ran that whole place in the bank, he knows that there's no cash in there, so they're after something else. And the woman mentioned that there is a diamond inside that vault that they're after. At first, I didn't spot this at first. By the time you get to the end of the episode, you know that she's already in on the heist the whole time. And this is taking place during St. Patty's Day. And I thought that was a little bit strange timing that they wanted to do this later post the St. Patty's Day, but I get it because they have to drop this every Tuesday night, so it's no surprise that they didn't want to drop the episode in a St. Patty's Day day for the episode. And yeah, I thought that this episode was so intense, and how Matt Murdock was able to take on those robbers without being seen, without being caught or being exposed, and avoid any suspicion that he is Daredevil, and how a blind lawyer can be able to do all these martial art fights, especially when he slowly gets one of the robbers into near the bathroom when they're near the vault. He takes them on and tries to be silent and be stealth, and I thought that was awesome, and I thought it was pretty badass. And it was pretty awesome that he was able to break inside the vault and try to give them what they're looking for without walking out of the thing empty-handed, because if things go completely wrong, they might shoot one of the hostages. And we meet up with this one cop that we meet in episode 1. We didn't really get much of her, but she's one of the hostage negotiator. I love that part when she was trying to negotiate with the leader of this whole heist, and she tries to give this Irish joke to make him laugh so that they can buy them more time for the hostages to live. So they're clearly not here to go around killing people. They're after something very valuable. And what Matt Murdock found in that vault is not just some ordinary diamond. There's something odd and nothing we've seen before. It looks gold. I mean, I don't know if it's gold. I could be wrong, but I don't know what kind of diamond it is. Is it something mystical or something? And that's why it's so valuable that they're so desperately to find and what they're after. I'm curious about that. But yeah, this episode was awesome. him taking out a bunch of bank robbers and putting his mask on and taking on the leader and completely broke his leg and beat the living crap out of him. He knows that he can't run from him. He knows he's gonna have to put on that mask and be the crime fighting vigilante that we know as Daredevil. Yeah, this is was a fun standalone adventure. It's not something that's going to add into the main grand story, but I'm all for having a standalone adventure episode because they're treating this as a television show. They're not trying to treat this as a movie. They're treating it as a television show where every now and then they'll have a standalone episode that will be fun and interesting. And you can make this fun and engaging and intense and also and add something that will add to the main characters and how it'll affect the main characters throughout the whole show. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with the grand story. He is now slowly getting back to being Daredevil. And I know it's been taking forever for him to get back in that suit again, ever since the first episode of the prologue. Personally, I think they should have done it a little bit sooner, but I get why they did it. It's the journey, and I said this before, it's the journey, not destination. As long as the dialogue is good, the fight choreography delivers, and the story is interesting. That's all that matters. Otherwise, you're just going to be adding just mindless action fight scenes with no substance. Yeah, this is definitely a fun episode. I know not a lot of people are going to agree on this, that this episode doesn't really mean a damn thing, but I enjoy the screen time with Matt Murdock and Kamala's father. I actually liked him at this time around. I mean, he was actually used very well. And look, I would be open for him to meet up with Kamala Khan and meet up with her family and having a little bit of a picnic a dinner get together. I would love to see that at some point in the show, but I know that they're probably not going to show it anytime soon. But I thought that was pretty fun, and it was awesome that Matt Murdock was able to switch the diamonds from the candy. And I thought that was a smart move on Matt Murdock's part when he gave that bag away and switched the diamond. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, overall, this was a great episode. Now going into episode 6, we're getting back to the main grand story with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, which now they're slowly letting their darker half unleash. This is where the gloves are starting to come off because Wilson Fisk throughout this episode is now struggling with this reputation as a mayor because performing a get together, a dinner party with a bunch of rich people he's asking for a loan for his project, for the port project that he's working on for a while, but they are not buying into his agenda. They're not buying into his bullshit. Now we got another familiar Marvel character, another familiar face, Jack DeQuince. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his last name, but you may have remembered him from the Hawkeye show, the one that has been dating, Kate Bishop's mom, and he's a great swordsman. He's a little campy and cheesy and very comedic, but in this episode, he actually was written very well. He was a little bit more serious and not too campy and not too silly. And you saw him in the early of the episode, him putting on his hood, like taking on a bunch of criminals, and I thought that was a pretty good footage of him taking on a couple of thugs, and it shows him that he is becoming a vigilante himself. I wasn't a big fan of his character in Hawkeye, to be honest with you. I didn't really like him that much. I didn't find him all that interesting, but he really started to grow on me when I watched him in this episode. Him standing up to Wilson Fisk and knowing that Fisk is so obsessive to taking on the other vigilante and forming an own vigilante task force, and he gave him a warning, which that was a ballsy move on Jack's part, because Wilson Fisk is really trying so hard to not really unleash his darker half and unleashing rage when he sees red, when someone pushes his buttons, especially when we get into the scene with this one criminal that was part of this whole truck heist that went wrong that we saw in a couple of episodes ago. Wilson Fisk is telling the guy that he owes Victor a 1.8 million to pay off their debt, and if he doesn't pay off his debt by the end of the week, he's screwed. But the guy is not really buying into his threats, because he does not respect them. He doesn't fear him anymore. Most of the people that he worked with are no longer fearing Wilson Fisk. They think he's sloppy, that he's getting a little bit rusty in the game, and he's basically telling them to go screw himself, which, oh my God, dude. And Wilson Fisk even charged him an extra million to know that he's being serious, but he's not buying into it. So I feel like that once we get into the later of the season, he's definitely going to unleash havoc on one of his own people who tries to stand against him. Holy shit. And I'm curious to know who Victor is. I don't think we've met Victor in the early episodes. I could be wrong. I might have missed something, but I hope that we meet the guy Victor who is like running this whole criminal operation. Yeah, with Matt Murdock, we see it in the beginning of the episode that he's praying. He has the picture of Foggy, his best friend. He is still thinking about him every goddamn day. Even Frank Castle called him out on it in last week's episode that he hears him everywhere he goes, and he's slowly praying, giving his own prayer to his own best friend. I thought that was a great scene because he is really trying to not unleash the darker half of him because that's been slowly the journey. This episode, this is where the gloves have taken off. Wilson Fisk is now recruiting the group of these cult who are one of them who was responsible for the death of the White Tiger, Hector, and who are a bunch of wannabe Punisher that wears the logo in their tattoos. They're part of this whole cult where they take the law in their own hands to get the job done. And and now he's actually on board with it. He's recruiting with them and creating this whole anti-vigilante task force for himself. Especially when now we got the main antagonist in this episode, Muse, the one who's been spreading graffiti paints all over the city, and he's kidnapping a bunch of random victims, especially the women, who's drawing out their blood and paints all over the walls using their victim's blood, which he is a serial killer. He's a psychopath, and I'm curious to know what his true motive is for the Muse. I hope that once we get into the next few more episodes that we understand his motives. I hope he's not just used as a plot device, something that will push the main character forward with the story. And Angela, that we meet up with Hector's niece, she's now trying to go after the Muse because she knows that Hector was trying to track him down, and she wants to finish what he started. We already know that eventually, at some point, she's probably going to eventually take on the mantle of White Tiger. I don't know if it's going to be later in the season or maybe the next, but it seems like she is trying to step up, even for a child herself, who's really had the balls to try to stand up. I mean, sure, she's not one of my favorites in this episode. I feel like it was kind of stupid and idiotic for her to actually go inside the subway underground railroad and try to track him down. Because what was her plan? Well, I don't understand what her plan was, but who knows? But that's just me. And she gets kidnapped by the Muse. She's been taken, and now Matt Murdock was willing to call the police and let the police do their job. But then he drops the F-bomb. He said, fuck it. He's now putting on a suit to go and rescue her, and the fight scene between him and the Muse was awesome. I feel like Daredevil is now back into the fold. He now is back after like 5 or 6 episodes later. I know people are going to be frustrated that he took so long to get back into that suit again, but the suit is not what makes him the character. Daredevil is who he is with or without the suit. And throughout the show, it's him going through the journey to not unleash it, but he knows he's not going to run from it. And then when we get into the another scene with Wilson Fisk, he's now back in an underground talking to Adam, which is Vanessa's lover. He's now going to try to have him fight for his life. Holy shit, he really messed him up very well. I thought at first he was actually going to kill him when he was holding that axe. I literally thought he was going to axe murder him. I really thought he did. But then but he knows that he can take him out no sweat, but he wants him to give him a fighting chance by handing over the axe and have him fight for his life and have him fight for his freedom. He was willing to let him go, but it's going to cost him, and he beats the living crap out of Adam. I mean, I wish we would have developed Adam a little bit more because I feel like he's just kind of an afterthought to me. That's one of my biggest negatives of the show, that Adam has been name dropped a lot because we know that Vanessa found someone, the love of her life after Wilson Fisk had been disappeared for so many months, I believe a year or so. But I thought that they should have developed him a little bit more. But it looks like that he is still breathing after he got his ass handed to Wilson Fisk. And I don't know what's going to happen to him. I mean, he might get killed off screen. Who the hell knows what's going to happen to Adam? But overall, this was definitely a banger episode. This is where we're finally getting back, where now these two main characters with Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock, now they finally unleash their darker half, and the gloves have been taken off officially. Matt Murdock is back as Daredevil. And with Wilson Fisk, in the earlier the episode, we see him try to put on the coat, and it rips because he's gaining weight. Because if you saw in the last episode when he was underground next to Adam's cell, he's eating food that is not good for him because he was on a strict diet. He was trying. It's another symbolism that he's slowly coming back to his older self. They did a great job with this whole symbolism in this episode. Like I said before, the fight scenes with Daredevil and the Muse. Holy shit, a banger. I kind of like that fight scene a little bit more than what we saw in the first episode when he went hand to hand combat against Bullseye in that one shot sequence. Because it looked a little choppy at times, but I don't know. But it wasn't enough to pull me out of that episode. But that fight scene was awesome. Daredevil is now officially back, and we're only 3 more episodes left. I don't know when that we're going to see the Punisher team up with Matt Murdock. It might happen around the time in the finale. That's my prediction. Where now that they're both going to work together to take on the anti-vigilante task force. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. It might be in the next episode, or it could be into the last episode. Who knows? But I'm so excited to see Punisher and Daredevil team up. We got a glimpse of it in that mid-season trailer. We got a little bit of a tease of them teaming up, and it looks like it's gonna be a banger. And I believe it's gonna blow it out of the water and probably break the internet. Because, like I said before, I think the show works so well with Punisher involved. I'm not saying he has to be in every single episode, but I think when he shows up with Daredevil, it really continues to skyrocket with the quality, in my opinion. Now, what did you think of episode 5 and 6? Did it live up to your expectations? Are you excited? Did you love these 2 episodes, or did you like episode 6 more than 5? I know some people were going to say that the episode 5 was not one of their favorites because it's a standalone episode and it's not adding into the main grand story. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you leave it a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you know when my videos are up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening. And if you want to follow my social media links, the link tree will be down in the description down below. I got a lot of things to do. I got Small Talk podcast to continue on, and even the Batman Terry. I just did a live stream on 3D Movie Cinema's YouTube channel where we discussed the DC universe and how it all started and where we're at now. I'll put that link down in the description below so you can go and check that out. It was a fun video to do. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and stay tuned for more of my content.